you don't have some of these kind of odd numbers showing up.
Well, we could certainly put that together for the commission.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're close. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're.
I would prefer using the 30-foot, and this is why. I know 40 is our midpoint on here, but that's the one that looks to me like it's skewed from the others.
Hmm.
You know, the 30-foot boat owners.
If we were going to do 5%, I would start with the 30-foot rate and do 5% down and 5% above each of those, and between the 60 and 80 do another 5%.
What were you gonna say?
And then CPI plus 1 for going across.
There's a big difference in the if you look at the how would you say I'm going to say the income range or the affluence of a 30-foot boat owner versus a 50 or 60-foot boat owner. So you know, if I think using something on the 30-foot range, which is a little bit below, is probably more fair.
Okay. I'm with that. I like 30.
Well, and
Okay.
I'm okay with either one, so.
Okay,
so
let's.
if we were to use the 30-foot and then CPI plus 1 going up and then 5% between the others.
I think 5% change for each 10-foot and slip size.
Mm-hmm. But why between 60 and 80 would it only be 5? Why wouldn't it be 10?
We don't have a 70. I don't know how many 70s we have in there. And these
I
would
think
be
still the 5% for the 70 and then the 5% for the 80.
Yeah,
That's
so it'd be
fine.
10 to the 80.
Yeah.
I think that's four.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically it's 1% per foot. Or 2% per foot.
Mm-hmm.
All the
Okay.
way up and down.
Okay.
Would you like to take a look at some of the cost approach
Yes.
information?
Yes.
Please.
Yeah, because that helps us know if we're in the ballpark.
So
Mhm.
we're gonna jump ahead to slide 16.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm gonna ask Mr. Nutter to wake up and join the conversation.
He's conserving energy.
The first slide is the same slide you saw 2 weeks ago. This gives a couple years history, actual 14 and actual 15, and then just our budgeted numbers for 2016. So above the double line is the direct expenses. Below that is the allocated and depreciation. And I've added a couple of placeholders there. We know that we have a fueling situation there. It's, fueling is subsidized. We're in operation for the past 43 years. But now we're at the point of need to replace that, and I don't think we're going to get, due to the upcoming capital costs at Boathaven, there's going to be a higher operating cost, because we're going to have to pay for new fuel dock, new fuel tanks, whether we do it or whether the agent does it, there's going to be a higher cost there.
Wait a minute, if they do it, why would that affect our?
Because their monthly cost of, there's a capital cost that's going to be incurred.
Right.
And so it's either gonna come out of their pocket and
Right.
they're gonna charge us more, or it's gonna come out of our pocket and we're gonna pay more.
They're gonna charge us more for the fuel? No, what are you saying? I'm
For
not following you.
operations, in order
Uh-huh.
for,
They'll charge us more for our agent
Agents.
agreement?
Yes.
Got it, okay.
There's going to be a higher operating cost in the future, because someone's gonna have to pay for all that.
Either
infrastructure.
way, we pay for it.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, and then I have another placeholder there, and again, these are not magic numbers, they're just placeholders. I put another $60,000 in there for asset replacement cost, because the reconstruction cost of marinas has skyrocketed. I mean, you have to put fish windows in your docks now. It's much more expensive, and so I have depreciation down there that kind of covers, the capital cost for the entire marina, but I don't know what that would be. I don't think that would cover or reflect an accurate replacement cost. So, and again, you can argue any of these numbers, any of them could go up, any of them could come down, but my goal here is just to present, in general, what are our expenses on a per foot basis.
When we saw this last time, we had that question of allocated A&G expense, why it skyrocketed between 15 and 16.
And, yeah.
And then you guys were gonna look at seeing what actually that was the result of.
I looked at John Wayne Marine, I did not look at this one.
That went up 70,000 in one.
There were a
Yeah.
number of different, line items, whether it was, consulting, some adjustments on insurance, there were adjustments on, salaries had changed overall, we had, not all positions were filled, and then there was a compensation adjustment, so there were a number of factors that went
Okay,
into
so
that.
I'll point out a couple things here related to that. This number, allocated expenses, is driven directly by this number. What are your total expenses compared to the rest of the organization? So,
Yeah.
the budgeted number, they went from, their budgeted expenses were from 467 up to 521, so.
Okay.
as
So
a-
that went up quite a
so-
bit.
so-
Yep.
And that's what drives that allocated number. Now, point number two, that's our budgeted number. And as I get into our financial presentation after this, we're well under budget this year. Their allocation this year is not going to be that high. We're really managing expenses, so that's just a budget number, that's straight out of our budget book, but in reality,
Actuals is different.
Actuals
So
will
We
come in
usually
lower.
come under budget, we usually budget high and then come under.
Yeah, so I see
It's a good point.
maintenance materials from actual to budget 2016 went up about 32,000. Why is that? It was pretty close, 23 and then 22,000 between 2014 and 15. Why did we budget for so much more for?
I know we put a, maintenance, we've done a lot of work down there, putting in a dedicated fire suppression water line on the west side of the Boathaven. This year they're replacing a bunch of the, hose bibs, and now they're stainless steel materials, so we're with them on that budget. So those are kind of the two major maintenance
Okay.
projects that I can think of that have happened over the past 2 years that probably drive some of that number.
Okay.
So, add all of the budgeted costs up, and then you compare that at 100% occupancy versus 90% versus 80%. We're come up something in the neighborhood of, between $6.50 and $8 a square foot is our cost of operating the marina. If we were to lease out all 17,225 lineal feet, our maximum revenue would be $6.26 per foot. So we have a cost in the 7 to 8 range and revenue in the $6 range. And you can look at that, I broke it down using 90% as the example. 280 of that is just the direct expenses, current depreciation, $1.89, admin, adds that up to, comes up to 660, and then if you add any additional costs that you will be paying for asset replacement and higher operating costs, we're in probably 725 range, that will pay for cost of operating.
And that's per foot,
Per foot.
okay.
I thought it was interesting, the amount of time we spend on the increase, whether it's CPI +1 or whatever. It's